Hey guys, so I saw that there's a tag going around of books you read in 2024, and I wanted to join in the conversation because 2024 was probably the year that I read the most books, though it's a very short list. So it's going to be a pretty short video, and I'm excited to share it with you. Share the books that I read, which ones would I recommend, and which ones would I not, out of the ones that I read. In 2024, I picked books based on my own discovery, my own opinion, my own desire. I didn't know BookTube was a thing until, just a few days ago or a week ago. And then I just got on BookTube. This is my second video. If you missed the first video, I just kind of explained the fact that why I'm doing BookTube and how I got into BookTube a little bit. And I have very lofty 2025 reading goals and a long 2025 TBR. That'll be in a different video coming up soon. My TBR list for 2025, as well as my reading goals for 2025. But right now we're talking about last year and the books that I read. And the first book that I read last year is Rebel Moon Part 1, The Novelization. I read this because I wanted to really love this universe. I was excited for the movie before it came out. It came out and it left me subtly disappointed. I think there was aspects of it that I liked, but overall it was an amazing movie. But then I saw that there was a novelization and I was going on a road trip. So I was like, why not? Let's do it. All right. A million times better than the movie. It was almost like the movie wasn't even the book. Like they weren't even close. There was so many little details and things in it that were added that really, really made the universe, the story, the characters that much more interesting. Now, there was definitely a couple parts worth skipping. I'm not a big fan of lewd behavior in my books, movies, TV shows, and so on. I don't mind if you allude to them doing something, but to get a description of actions that they're doing when whatever, it's just weird to me. I don't enjoy it. It makes me feel creepy, so I don't like it. Beyond that, the book wasn't bad. I don't think you're missing out by not reading it, so it's not one that I can recommend. Next book that I read, though, was Gleanings, which Gleanings is in the Scythe universe, Neil Schusterman. It's a compilation of short stories in the Scythe universe. It was a beautiful addition to it. I loved every minute of it. I was so invested. I mean, they're short stories, yet I got so immersed and so invested so quickly. It was incredible, and I felt the impact of the stories, and it was perspectives that I didn't think about before, and I really, really enjoyed it. I really did, and it kind of sent me on the rereading of Scythe, The Thunderhead and the Toll, because that's one of my favorite series of all time, and I really love it. I would recommend Gleanings, but you definitely need to read like the Scythe books first. Otherwise, I don't think you'll fully understand the impact of some of the short stories. Book that I read was Fourth Wing. I'm a fan of fantasy. I really am. I like fantasy books. You might think that's not true based on, like, if you recommend a book and I read the synopsis, I'll be like, oh, that doesn't sound interesting to me. You'd be like, are you sure you like fantasy? I do. I like fantasy, but Fourth Wing wasn't bad. I think it has some popularity. Iron Flame came out, and then I think the third book or fourth book is coming out this year. I'm not 100% sure if it's the third or the fourth, but I'm not the most interested in it. There was aspects of the book that I really liked. Again, some parts worth skipping. The combat and like military action portions of it weren't my favorite. I was just talking to a friend about it because he was reading it too, and he's in the second book. I didn't even get that far. But there's just some parts of it that don't make sense and I don't like. And it's a balance of applying real world logic to a fantasy world, and you can't do that. And I get that. But at the same time, there's also certain parts that even in this fantasy world, there's realism. And there's no realism with some of the things that happen in Fourth Wing, and I didn't love it. I thought it was a cool concept. I thought some of it was predictable, but then still very interesting. It's not like I don't recommend it. I think definitely I can see why it's popular. It just, for me, was not my thing. But after Fourth Wing, I got into the Mass Effect book series. I read the first 3 books and then started the Andromeda book. I think there's 3 books. I have them on my shelf over here. No, there's 4 books in the Mass Effect series. Then it gets 3 books in the Andromeda series. I believe I actually did all 4 in the Mass Effect series. Yeah, I think I did all 4 or the first 3, and I didn't do the 4th yet. They're interesting. I do recommend them because I think it's such a cool concept. And Mass Effect, the game, for those that know of it, that's why I got these books. Why I read them is because the game is one of my favorite series of all time. Like, it's incredible. And I love the concept of it. I love the topics that they make you face and discuss and challenges and decision making and all this stuff in the video game. Then the book expands on that stuff and other characters, and it doesn't go over what the game goes over. It goes over, like, it ties them together and covers stories that you didn't know about and things that are referenced in the game, and now you get details on them. And it was really, really interesting. And even if you haven't played the game, I still think it's worth reading the first 4. I can't speak on the Andromeda series. Obviously, the Andromeda video game got a lot of hate. The Andromeda book that I am reading, because it was before I got the 4th book in the first 4, I started the Andromeda book because they're kind of disconnected time-wise, and you don't have to read these ones to get this one. I started it, did not finish just because I got captivated by other stuff, but I would recommend it. I think they're pretty quick and easy reads, and I think they have enough of plot twists, espionage, political movings, and government type overreach type stuff, and I think it's really interesting and it's fascinating if sci-fi is your thing. But what really captivated me this year and spurred this whole thing, this booktube, my journey into reading, my passion now for reading, what kickstarted this whole thing is the Warhammer universe. I started reading the Horus Heresy. I got these books like a year ago. I got the first 2 books, Horus Rising and False Gods, on Thrift Books over a year ago. And I was going to read them. Started one of them, got kind of far into it, and then just did not finish. It had nothing to do with the book. It has to do with me, okay? It wasn't you, it was me. But then the Secret Level TV show came out on Amazon, and I saw the Warhammer episode, and it made me want to get the video game, the Space Marine 2, which then I got, and I played that, and I was like, man, this actually is super interesting, and I want to know more. I should pick up those books again. And I did, and I was flying through it. And then busted out the Kindle, got the other books because like the 3rd or 4th book in the series is like $200 because they did limited prints and all this stuff. So I had to go to Kindle for this because then it's at least affordable. So I got the first 5 books on my Kindle, and all of a sudden, I'm talking in like a 2-3 day span, I read a 400-page book. And you might not think that's impressive, but me to do that is incredible. Then all of a sudden, average watch time or average read time on Kindle, it says 7.5 hours for book 2. I did it in 5. Then it says, 3rd book, which, am I on the 3rd? No, I read the 3rd book already. Finished that one in under the average read time as well. I'm flying through these books, and now I'm already part way through the 4th one. I've had to slow down now because of responsibilities and the holidays are over. I'm going to read the first 5 and do a video about them because I don't see enough people talk about the Warhammer universe in this booktube realm. Now, I've only been here a short time. Maybe I'm late to the game. Maybe that was like, 6 years ago, that was the wave, bro. Maybe. I don't know. But I don't see enough people talk about this. When it comes to sci-fi or fantasy, I think subgenre would be dark grim. I don't know. Somebody correct me. But like the violence, the honor, the spirituality, the concept, the emperor, the war master, the betrayal, the everything. Oh my word, this book gets me fired up. Fired up. The first 3 books at least you should read. The first 3, Horus Rising, False Gods, and Galaxy in Flames. The 4th book and the 5th book, I haven't read the 5th one. I'm halfway through the 4th one. The 4th one is good, but it's not as good as the first 3. I can already tell you that just from the first half. Now we're getting into the second half, which could be really amazing and could kind of upend that opinion. But right now, halfway through it, I don't love it as much as the first 3. I still love it, but not as much as the first 3. That's what kickstarted this whole thing. That's what sent me down this booktube rabbit hole. That's what sent me on starting this channel. That's what sent me on. Now I just want to read more books that make me feel this way. It's like a mental dopamine desire and identity of, oh my word, I want to feel this sense of honor and passion and all this stuff. And I found it in Warhammer. With all of that, that is the books that I read for 2024. Hopefully maybe some of those you haven't read. You probably have. Let's be honest. None of those are really crazy, and it's not a long list. I look forward to 2025's reading list at the end of that year, and I'll be able to share way more books because I have big goals for this year on reading, and I look forward to meeting those goals and sharing them with you in a future video. But if you have book recommendations based on some of the stuff that I've told you, big fan of fantasy. I like sci-fi. I like fantasy. Dark grim is the right subcategory as Warhammer. I really, really like that stuff. I like it to be a little bit dark. Not dark as in like spiritually dark, dark as in like a little bit violent, if that makes sense. So if you have recommendations for me, please leave it in the comments down below. I appreciate you guys. Stay tuned for more videos coming out. Thanks for watching.